Hi, I'm Gary White with Channel 6, Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Laura Schlosser, who's the Marion County School Superintendent. And as we're talking, school has been in session now for about a week, right?
Yes, we started last Wednesday, students did.
Right. And when did the teachers actually come back?
Their official first work day was August the 1st, but their opening day was last Monday, and we had a wonderful guest speaker, Stephen Mackey, very motivational, very inspirational. So I think a lot of staff was excited to have him.
And so they've been in school for a few days now. How's the beginning of school going?
It's been great. Obviously, we did start out on a rainy day. Typically, that first day of school, we don't have a lot of rain, but we did have a lot of rain. But we got everybody here. We had everyone home. The second day of school, by 4:30, we had all of our kids home. So far, so good.
And we also want to mention that you have been doing some preparations for the new school year, of course, with some different stuff. But also you've been talking with the Marion County Fiscal Court about the opportunity for a grant for potentially getting another school resource officer. But in addition to that, you've been talking about school safety in general. Can you tell us a little about those discussions and where they are right now?
Absolutely. Gary, when we closed out the school year last year, we wanted to make sure that we use this summer as an opportunity to update as much as we could in regards to safety. If you'll notice now when you come in a building, we still have the same buzzer system, but this buzzer system actually has audio and video. So all of our receptionists can actually see the person that's coming in the building as well as talk to them. We've also added some entryways to our buildings that we can, and used our spaces to actually block off some hallways so that there has to be more of a key fob system to get in and out. We've had all of our front office staff and our principals and local law enforcement actually meet with the Kentucky Center for School Safety. We've talked about what safety looks like, what they can do, and what we can do to be proactive. We also were fortunate to write a grant, and we want to expand our school resource officer program. Our city is now working with us with 2 school resource officers. We had one and have had one for years, but they expanded that program, and we are now working with the fiscal court to talk to them about what that would look like if we had a school resource officers for the county, which would serve Calvary and West Marion and Marion County Middle School. So, we just want to look at safety as a proactive means to address what's best for our kids. Sometimes, unfortunately, you have to be reactive, but we're trying everything we can to be proactive here.
Now, with the numbers in the past, so the school resource officers have been within the city limits.
Yes.
How's the percentage-wise? Were they able to, how many students were covered when it was just in the city, and how many, now it would be 100%, obviously, I guess, if it's going to be in the county as well. But were they, was it like about 50% at that time?
Actually, if you look at the enrollment out in the county, we have about 220 students at Calvary, around 450 at West Marion, and about 550 at the middle school. So the county actually has about 1,200 students. Our total population, our total enrollment is around 3,300. So you're looking at about 2,000 students per one officer, but our city officers cannot go out into the county. Now, we have a great relationship with all of our law enforcement officials, so by no means would I ever want anybody to think otherwise. We do still ensure that our officers eat free breakfast or lunch if they want to drop by. All of the police officers have a fob to get in and out of all of our buildings. So we have a great relationship. So about 1,200 out in the county, about 2,000 here in the county, right. Or in the city, I'm sorry.
Right, so about 2,000 that was being covered, and now there's 2 officers that are covering that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, also, we've been talking the past several times we met about the facility plan with the schools, because you're hoping to have additional resources now with the recallable nickel that was passed. How's that stand? Where's the status of that right now?
We are currently working on representatives for the local planning committee. We are actually required, there's actually a requirement that there is a local planning committee. Within these regulations, it actually dictates the number and who is on that committee. Our board voted last Thursday night for their representative, and then there will be representatives from the community and in the schools. Some of those committee members are set. For example, the person who is over the sewer is set. The person who is over buildings inspections. I mean, we only have one of each of those, so those are set. The superintendent is another one who's on the committee. I'm not a voting member, but I am a part of the committee. So currently, we plan to advertise for community members that would like to be a part of that. And then at the school levels, we'll also ask for people who'd like to volunteer, or maybe if somebody wants to be nominated, and then each of those groups will work on electing the folks to their respective committee.
And so that planning committee that's outlined will then, what will they be in charge of doing?
They will actually be working with the architect. They will come in, and they are currently working on assessing each of our buildings. They will come back, present that information to the local planning committee, and then that committee will start talking about priorities and needs and matching that up with how much funding that we have. So they will actually start that process of developing a new district facilities plan for the next 4 years.
And so that local committee will be responsible for doing that, and then it has to be approved by the school board, is that correct?
Absolutely, that is exactly how it works. They will put a plan together, and their responsibility will then turn that over to the board, and then the board will vote to either approve, or they could vote to send that back to the committee. After our Board of Education approves it, then it actually has to go to the Kentucky Department of Education, or the Kentucky School Board Association, the state board, and they will actually approve that or not. And only after they approve that could any kind of work begin with any of the buildings.
So it's quite a process that has to go on with the locals, and then going to the school board locally, and then also moving up to the state level. So what's the hope or the anticipation for when something can actually be moved upon for a building?
Well, I would say that if everything works out well and all of the approvals are, if they'd happen, then, you know, you could see something maybe, you wouldn't see anything, because typically what happens is after it's approved what project you're going to do, then you're going to go through a programming process, and that would mean that the architects would come in and work with the staff and the leaders of the district to determine what that would look like. So next summer, if everything works out and it's approved by KBE, then it would probably be another 6 to 9 months for the programming. For example, people would probably relate to, you would look at drawings. What's the front of the building going to look like? How are you going to change the floor plan if it's a remodel? If it were to be a new building, it would be what does the new building look like? So there would be several approvals along the way before you actually could break ground. By no means do I want to promise that all of this is going to work out in any kind of timeline. I think you said it best. It is a process, and there's lots of approvals along the way. The first step is to get the district facilities plan approved, which is typically about a year-long process, and then the programming, which again, depending on the scope of the work, would probably depend on how much programming that would take place. So it could still be a little while before we actually see a shovel in the ground.
Okay, but I'll keep you up to date on how that process is going and what buildings are going to be renovated. But also there's some other new stuff that is going on. Actually behind us you have some artwork that you just have unveiled too, right?
Yes, I have. Behind us, Gary, you'll see our shield. And you know, we are the Knights, and Knights carry a shield, and we believe that education is the ultimate shield for a child or even us as an adult. And so, Marion County Public Schools is a place where we dream, believe, achieve, and we believe that if we address opportunities, we ensure access to those opportunities, and we recognize the equity, the layered lives that our children bring to us, that all kids have the opportunity to be success ready. And when we say success ready, while it's symbolized with a graduation hat, we understand that every day, every month, every year, a child has an opportunity to be success ready. What that looks like in first grade may not look like what that does when they walk across the stage, but we understand that incrementally every level is very important. So you'll see our staff with t-shirts. They're going to have that shield on. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, it's a nice visual, but we don't want it to be just a visual. We want each of these symbols to come to life. We had a great leadership team meeting this morning. We had the folks in the central office and our principals. We did a wonderful little article, and we studied that, and we talked about it, and we really want to define what each one of these pieces and parts are, because we want to ensure that we have excellent instruction for all kids.
And so tell us, what are the symbols that you have back here?
Okay, if you don't mind, I'll just scoot over just a little bit. But the symbol you'll see at the top actually is a person, and you have arrows moving in all directions, so that is actually that opportunity. The next symbol is a key, and just like a key is, that actually symbolizes access to instruction, access to clubs, access to school, access to programs, free breakfast, free lunch, all those kinds of things. And then the symbol here, which that it may look like something that we did when we were younger and we played with the little Etch-a-Sketch, but actually what that's talking about is just in a person's life, in all of our lives, we have lots of layers, and that we recognize that we're going to value the whole child, not just the child that we see. And then the last symbol is a graduation hat and a diploma. And again, while that's the ultimate end goal, we recognize that that's a process in and of itself. And the nice ribbon on the bottom that ties it up in a nice, wonderful bow is that we're going to ensure instructional excellence. So we're going to work really hard this year on making sure that every child has an opportunity, they have access, we're going to appreciate the whole child, and they can graduate success ready if given the opportunity to be a part of excellent day-to-day classroom instruction.
And so that's a new symbol you're going to be seeing all around Marion County. Again, I've been talking with Marion County School Superintendent Laura Schlosser, and we'll be talking throughout the year, see what's going on. And I know we just got started, a couple days ago, but people are already thinking about, you're going to have your fall break, right, coming up in October, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It's only 7 weeks away.
Okay. And then we'll have the semester ending right before the holidays, right?
Yes. And we will have a 2-week break. It'll be midweek to midweek, just because of the way Christmas break happens to be this year. We'll have the day before Thanksgiving, so there will be a 3-day holiday plus the 2 days for the weekend, so that's about a 5-day Thanksgiving Day break. But you're right, we did just get started. Labor Day's coming up. That'll be here in 2 weeks. So seems like first semester we get a few more breaks. Second semester, that's when we typically are trying to figure out about weather and also just trying to keep folks healthy.
Sounds good. This has been Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television.